we've been talking for so many months about OpenAI wanting to shift from a nonprofit into a for-profit company, and the Elon Musk drama related to that. And as we know, with this story and OpenAI in general, things can change on a dime out of nowhere. That's exactly what seemed to happen, a reversal of its plans to spin off as a fully for-profit company. Now going to stay nonprofit, raising their capital, more like a conventional business. But the nonprofit board is going to continue to oversee its mission to benefit humanity.
Right. So the nonprofit board stays in charge. They were trying to get rid of that, A. B, the for-profit company that does report to the nonprofit arm will be a public benefit corporation, like Anthropic, which means they can make all the money they want, but they're also not as obligated to make as much money because they have this public mission.
Okay.
And I don't know what this means to to Microsoft and its capital structure. I don't know what it means to the big investment that they got recently, which on the condition of turning into a for-profit company. And I also don't know what it means to the war with Elon Musk, except Musk says the war is not over. He's going to continue his suit and not going to back off.
We know that it means that nothing that's not slowing down Elon Musk's kind of rage, personal vendetta, I guess you could call it.
He's a living rage tweet, yes.
He really wants to keep going there. Lawyer Mark Toberoff is arguing that the outcome does not address Elon Musk's concerns that OpenAI is still developing closed source artificial intelligence for private benefit. And Musk doesn't like that at all. So that's not going to change things. I don't know what else there is really to say about this other than...
the drama just keeps on going on. It's amazing.
Yeah, as the world turns.
Yeah, I mean, it started with Musk as one of the co-founders and a lot of his money. And so he's not wrong to have a voice here in what it becomes. But he just is delighting in keeping the drama going as much as possible. And it did set in, there's one thing this teaches folks. It is really, really difficult to switch between for-profit and not-for-profit. It's not something you can just go do in a flash. Newspapers are thinking about trying to do it, and some are succeeding, but it takes a lot of work. And that's going the other way. That's going from for-profit, when there's no more profit, to become a not-for-profit and try to become a charitable venture. Philadelphia did it. A paper in Washington just did it. And I think there's a couple other examples here and there, Salt Lake City. But in this business, it's the opposite, because being not-for-profit limited the investment potential here. Because the thing about profit is, it is a way to pay back your investors. It is a way to give them the dividends of their investment. And if you're not-for-profit, nobody owns it, really. So this was a switch on that. And either way, whichever route you want to go, it's very difficult when it comes to taxes. Also, obviously, we saw in this case, it raises all kinds of issues with investors and equity. SoftBank also conditioned its $30 billion investment on being for-profit. Now, is that condition going to be met by being a public benefit corporation for the main company, or was that intended to be the whole thing? I don't know how the contract was written, but pardon me, that's a factor as well. So Altman just finds himself in the middle of drama after drama after drama.
What occurs to me when I'm listening to you talk about the challenges of transitioning from one to the other is that if you're going from a for-profit to a non-profit, also there is the perspective or the what is the saying of something is reality. Not perspective is reality.
Perception is reality.
Perception is reality. The transition from a for-profit to a non-profit kind of has an air of like altruism, or maybe that's the wrong word, but it's kind of like, you know what? We were making money. Now we just want to do this for the good of humanity or whatever. In going in that direction, there's kind of like a good feeling about it from a perception perspective. Going the opposite direction, I'd say it's the opposite perspective. Yes, totally. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Once you were for humanity, and now you just recognize an opportunity to make tons and tons of money, and so you're going in that direction. Like, does that, I don't know, place a bit of more of a stink on a company like OpenAI now that they're kind of undoing And I don't know the answer to that.
Yes and no. I mean, I think capitalism is not evil. That'll be my most controversial statement of the year. It's what we live under. And profit is what drives that, and profit is what drives investment. And so it's not a bad thing. In my world, in journalism, because we're all a bunch of commies, we tend to, my students especially, come in thinking, well, I'm just going to be not-for-profit, and everything's okay. And what I do is wonderful. People are going to give me lots of money, and all is well. No, you still have to run it like a business. The only difference is it's a tax structure, really, in the end, and an ownership structure, and there's a lack of ownership in that sense. I mean, there is kind of an ownership, but it's not the same. And you still have to run it with all of the exigencies of business. And so in that sense, in the way you run it, there isn't necessarily that much difference.
Right.
Because you're trying to make it sustainable. You're trying to bring benefit back. You're trying to be able to invest in the future.
It's not like you're truly working for nothing when you're a nonprofit.
No,
I think
exactly.
A lot of people hear nonprofit and they think, oh, well, there's no income. There's still a business to be run. There's still people to pay because they're doing the job. They're doing the work. It's just the mission is different, right?
Yeah. And so they're trying to mix the two by having a public benefit corporation, but that's still a for-profit company. Yeah. So Etsy is also a public benefit corporation. And I don't know whether Craigslist is. I think it might be. But basically what it says is you're not obligated to profit über alles. You have other structures. So that's okay. That's fine. But I don't know where this all ends out. And in terms of those who've invested in the company, I'm not sure what their views are. I haven't really seen much about. I was surprised how little reaction I saw in the news because I thought this was a big deal. And as soon as I saw it, I went running to put it in the rundown. And said, "Oh, we're going to talk about this week because it's big news."
Of course we are.
And we always start with OpenAI, but now we have actual news about OpenAI. So I'm fascinated by it, but we'll see. We'll see what the reaction is and whether it has any impact on Altman's ability in the future to fundraise, because he's going to have to keep fundraising because this thing's a money hog. Yeah, and he wants to build Star, whatever it is, the Starbase. No, what are they calling their
Star? Not Starlink.
Not Starfleet. No. Star. Whatever. They're hosting.
Stargate? Is it Stargate?
I think it is. Yeah. They're
so
hosting
many stars
structure.
out there.
And by the way, I just saw that another thing happened. He's now talking about how that's going to be international. Well, I thought the whole point was to please Trump by making it all domestic. But anyway, just another detour on the road to OpenAI's future. So if I were a competitor to OpenAI right now, I'd be pretty happy because I think it looks like turmoil.
Well, I think and especially if you're the Musk competitor. Well, you're feeling like, yeah, I stuck it to the man, and I'm going to continue sticking it to the man. Let's see where we can take this.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, Jason, I don't know that Musk actually benefits that much in his business.
Maybe not.
If you're Meta,
his ego benefits.
That's exactly it. That's what it all is, right? If you're Meta, if you're Anthropic, if you're Google, you're thinking, okay, they're in turmoil. That opens up space for us.
For sure.
If you're Musk, you live in turmoil. So
does this change people who work for OpenAI who are like, oh, we're transitioning to a for-profit company.
Great
stick
question.
around. And now suddenly things are changing. They're like, your plans for the future are different than what they were planning for.
With a public benefit corporation, as I understand it, there still is equity. You can still own the equity. Yeah. And you can still be profitable. And equity can still rise. However, I don't know what the ownership structure is from the nonprofit to the for-profit. Does the nonprofit own a lot of this equity that was going to be freed up in all of this? And again, there's Microsoft and its whole investment in this. What changes there? Is there still a renegotiation of the cap table? I don't know. The governance here is that the nonprofit board is in charge. Now, that board has been changed in the image of the current CEO. Yeah. And they got rid of the people who got rid of him. So in that sense, there's going to be some more stability in the leadership, but it's a mess. And in a way, I don't blame Altman as much as I blame Musk because he set it up this way with his fellow investors, A, and then B, he came back to fight it at every turn. So the turmoil is his victory. You're right, Jason, to that extent, but I think it's a Pyrrhic victory in terms of his own business.